Welcome to Basic Brewing Video. I'm James Spencer.
And I'm Steve Wilkes.
Today we're going to try a beer that may not have ever been made on the face of the earth.
You said you couldn't find any reference to this on the internet.
No.
Wow. That's something these days.
This is a 100% wheat.
Okay.
So nothing but wheat.
Nothing but wheat.
In there as far as grain goes. 100% wheat, raw.
Which means not boiled.
Which means the majority of the wort was not boiled.
Right.
White IPA. So.
Okay. An IPA in this case just means what?
It's a.
Means bittering level. It's a reference to hops.
It's a hoppy beer.
Okay.
Yeah. So you may remember in an earlier episode we had the hoppy raw ale, or was it raw hoppy ale? Anyway, this is similar in that it was brewed the same way, but on the podcast on Basic Brewing Radio, Matt Giovanisi of Brew Cabin and Josh Secor of Gambit Brewing Company in St. Paul, Minnesota, and I got together and we designed this recipe for a white IPA. So we got to talking and it was like, what if we do 100% wheat white IPA? And they were like, oh yeah, let's do it. And I was like, and I sent them the hoppy raw beer that we, from the previous show, and they liked that. So they said, why don't we brew this white IPA like that? Nice. So, this was a problem child. The beer, I think you'll like. The process was a little nuts. So, into 7 gallons, or 26.5 liters of water at 158 degrees Fahrenheit, or 70 C, I put 12 pounds, or 5.4 kilograms of wheat malt. So that brought me to a mash rest temperature of 148 degrees Fahrenheit, or 64.4 C, which I rested there for 2 hours. Now, a few minutes into the mash, and it was being recirculated with a pump, I collected maybe 3 quarts, something like that, more wort than I collected with the original raw beer. I collected that, and on this stovetop, I made a hop tea. And I boiled...
This very stovetop.
I boiled 1 ounce or 28 grams of Citra at 12.2% alpha acid and 1 ounce or 28 grams of Amarillo at 7.6% alpha acid for 1 hour in that hop tea. Now, this is while the mash was going on outside. So I took that hop tea, I put it back on the top of the mash and continued that recirculated mash for the rest of that 2 hours. At the end of that 2 hours, I raised the temperature in the kettle to 170 degrees Fahrenheit for a mash out, or 77 C. And once it reached that temperature, I held it there for 10 minutes. And then I ran off the wort into my bucket. Now, I got 3 gallons of 3 gallons of wort into my bucket, and everything stopped because it's wheat. And I didn't put any rice hulls in there. And Jake from Bacchus and Barleycorn up in Kansas City, Missouri, where I got my ingredients this time, he milled it extra fine because he knew that I had brew in a bag. So it stuck.
Yeah.
But it was no big deal because I had brew in a bag, so I lifted up the colander and I actually squeezed the bag this time, which I didn't do on the first one, and collected my wort into the bucket. Now, at that point, the wort was at 158 degrees Fahrenheit, or 70 C, and so I took another ounce or 28 grams of Citra and another ounce or 28 grams of Amarillo, and I did a 10-minute hop stand in that hot wort. And then I chilled it down to 77 degrees Fahrenheit, or 25 C, and I pitched B44 whiteout from Imperial yeast. So, it's the Belgian wheat yeast. Yep. The next day, I had a surprise. The whiteout was very happy.
Very happy.
And it blew the top off the bucket. there was like a gaping maw of the fermentation bucket. I don't think I've ever had that before. Just, a couple days later, I dry hopped with, again, 1 ounce or 28 grams of Citra and 1 ounce and 28 grams of Amarillo. It started out at 1065, which is crazy because the barley version with the Vienna malt started out at 1048.
Oh.
So the wheat was so much more, efficient. 1065 finished finally at 1008 for an ABV of 7.5%. This beer.
It's not small.
No. So anyway, okay, so cheers.
Cheers.
So what do you think? It's a beautiful beer.
It's a good beer. Clean as a whistle.
Oh.
Got a little breadiness, it's got a little bit of that breadiness that I always like. It's a little lemony.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good.
There's a lot of citrus. Mm-hmm. I do get kind of a bready character in there for the malt bill, but it's not like stodgy or thick or I could not tell you that it was 7.5%.
And it's not Hefeweizen.
No,
it doesn't have that. It doesn't have the banana and clove going on so much. It's a little funky. The whiteout, a little funky, but.
Although the other day, when we have to
great.
say that we tried this beer the other day on the porch, and as the beer warmed up, I did get some of that clovey character.
A little bit more. Yeah, that's true. You did.
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah, I remember now. But at the moment, and it's cold or cool, probably, I don't know, 40 degrees or so. I don't get that, but it doesn't. It's not as. So I'm trying to remember like a Frankenschanzer or something like that. A real German Hefeweizen. It's not like that at all.
No.
Not even close.
No.
So it's very different. I like it that I'm actually surprised how malty it is. And, it doesn't. I remember many years ago you made a 100% wheat beer that I think we did the show in the back of my porch at my old house.
Right.
And I remember that being really bright and I don't want to say thin, but because it wasn't thin, but just it didn't have a lot of complexity. Yeah. It was kind of like it was a lemon, and that was about it.
It was just like a pale ale.
It's like a pale ale.
Right.
This is much more complex. This has a lot going on. And I'm not even sure that I could have said to you, is this 100% wheat beer? I don't think I would have said that.
Well, I think, again, when I racked the beer out of the primary fermenter, there was hardly any trub. Just like with the first raw beer.
Yeah.
I think it was mostly just yeast, because I think all the protein is still up in here, because there was no protein break.
I bet so, yeah.
I didn't do a boil, so there was no protein break, and it didn't clear out. So I think, you're getting a lot of chewiness. This, to me, doesn't taste as silky as that first raw beer.
Yep.
And I think maybe because of the alcohol, there's significantly more alcohol. So there's more of an alcohol bite. It's still not hot or
no, it's not hot.
Refusal or anything, but I think it's really drinkable.
I think it's a great beer. It's Oh, I'm curious too. Did you use white wheat, red wheat, malted wheat, flaked wheat?
I think it's white wheat.
You used white wheat.
White wheat.
Not torrefied wheat. I mean, there's all kinds of wheat.
No, it was malted wheat.
Okay.
So because it had to convert itself.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of diastatic power in wheat to convert those starches into sugars. I think it's a delicious beer. There are some learnings that I would use next time to, maybe I would make a lower gravity version, because 7.5%. It's a
pretty big beer. Yeah.
Although it doesn't taste like a big beer.
Nope.
So maybe I would do like maybe 10 pounds next time. I was surprised that the wheat was so much higher in gravity than just the Vienna malt. I would maybe use some rice hulls next time to try to, although, with the brew in a bag, you can lift it out and, So it's in theory, it's a weird beer. If you look at the recipe, if you, think about the process, in theory, it's a weird beer, but it doesn't taste like a weird beer.
It tastes
like a delicious, hoppy,
It just tastes like a regular hoppy kind of wheat beer. I mean, well, duh. But I mean, you know, it just it would not be oh, I can see that you brewed this one of a kind unique beer.
Right.
It's not like that.
It's just like, this is good.
It's good beer.
So,
Dang.
I've sent out samples to, and by the time you see this, the audio show may have, superseded this, but I've sent out samples to Matt and Josh, and I even sent one to Chris Colby, even though he didn't like the original raw beer that I sent him. So I think he'll like this one. I think I got him on this one.
Yeah. I think if you don't like this, you need to move to
Slow down.
move to Pitcairn Island.
I don't know where that is. All right, try. Let us know if you brewed a beer similar. Is this a unique beer? Is this the only one of these that's ever been brewed in forever? I don't know. Oh, and thanks to Mika Leiten, the Viking Age brew book guy. Super fun interview on Basic Brewing Radio. He inspired these raw beers, and cheers to Mika.
Cheers to Mika.
And cheers to you. Try this at home. Come and visit us online at basicbrewing.com. You can find archive lists of our audio and video podcasts on homebrewing. You can also find our DVDs and our brewer's logbook, where you can track and log up to 50 batches of beer. Oh, I hope that made sense. All that stuff. I'm starting to talk like Leon Redbone all of a sudden.
I think it made perfect sense.
I want to be so good. I want the woman to talk to me suggestively.